The Transnational Technocracy, How Global Capital and Algorithms Redefine Power. 1. The birth of the blob. It started innocently enough, businessmen shaking hands with bureaucrats, governments courting global capital. Somewhere between the Cold War and the cloud, the world's economic elites realized borders were optional. They could build something bigger, a system that answers to no country and serves all of them at once. An early prophet of this idea was Samuel Pisar, lawyer, Cold War operator, and stepfather to a future U.S. Secretary of State. In the 1970s, he described the rise of trans-ideological corporations, joint ventures between Western multinationals and communist state enterprises. The result? A new kind of creature, half market, half state, accountable to neither. So what does that actually mean? It means capitalism and communism stopped fighting and started collaborating, behind the scenes, for profit. Footnote. The concept of trans-ideological corporations predates modern globalization, describing private entities operating above national ideology. 2. The unaccountable empire. These new hybrid corporations didn't need armies, they had algorithms, markets, and lawyers. They operated in every country, but belonged to none. The result is a system where the state acts as a contractor, enforcing rules drafted by think tanks and consulting firms with glossy logos. When laws are written in Washington, refined in Davos, and implemented in Beijing, who's in charge? Short answer, not you. Footnote. Global policymaking has increasingly migrated to transnational forums, reducing the sovereignty of national legislatures. 3. The think tank factory. Legislation doesn't emerge from Congress anymore, it arrives prepackaged from think tanks. Cheese, the Council on Foreign Relations, Chatham House, the World Economic Forum, they draft the blueprints. Corporations fund them. Politicians approve them. Citizens live under them. So what does that actually mean? It means democracy is now subscription-based. Policy is written by the few, for the few, and sold as expert consensus. Footnote. Corporate-funded think tanks serve as policy intermediaries, shaping government agendas without direct electoral accountability. 4. The global sink. Ever notice how every country suddenly adopts the same policy language: sustainable development, digital transformation, resilient supply chains? That's not coincidence. It's coordination. When every government sounds the same, it's not unity, it's synchronization. During the pandemic, lockdown policies were nearly identical across nations. Later, digital ID systems emerged everywhere, conveniently linked to financial surveillance and smart governance models. It's not conspiracy, it's copy-paste globalization. Footnote. Policy uniformity across nations reflects the influence of coordinated transnational frameworks rather than independent decision-making. 5. The rise of technocracy. Technocracy used to be a niche idea, ruled by engineers. Now it's ruled by algorithms and analytics. Decisions once made by elected leaders are outsourced to models too complex for public scrutiny. Efficiency replaces accountability. So what does that actually mean? It means you don't get to argue with the algorithm. You just get flagged by it. Footnote. The growing reliance on AI-driven governance tools represents a structural shift from democratic deliberation to automated decision-making. 6. The digital enclosure. Digital ID, programmable money, social credit systems, all marketed as innovation. But at scale, they're infrastructure for control. When money can be tracked, permissions can be assigned, and movement can be restricted, freedom becomes conditional. Governments like control. Corporations like data. Together, they've created the perfect ecosystem, citizens as compliant data streams. Footnote. The convergence of digital finance, identification, and surveillance systems creates unprecedented potential for centralized authority. 7. The private sector illusion. When governments face resistance to state-run systems, they simply outsource them. Don't want a central bank digital currency? Fine, the private sector will build one for you. It's the same leash, different hand. So what does that actually mean? It means your freedom of choice often comes pre-approved by the same people designing the cage. Footnote. Privatization of public control technologies masks state influence while maintaining systemic dependency on centralized networks. 8. The ghost of Technocracy Incorporated. Technocracy was once an actual movement, headquartered in the 1930s under the banner Technocracy Incorporated. Its Canadian branch was led by Elon Musk's grandfather. The goal? Replace politicians with engineers and measure progress in energy units, not votes. It sounded utopian. It also sounded suspiciously efficient. Decades later, the dream lives on in digital governance, only now, the engineers work for billionaires instead of governments. Footnote. The historical technocracy movement sought to replace democratic institutions with scientifically managed economies, a concept revived through modern digital governance. 9. The multipolar mirage. We're told we're entering a multipolar world, a polite way of saying, no one's in charge, but everyone's connected. The US, China, Russia, the EU, all rivals on paper, yet aligned on core goals like digital currency, climate-linked governance, and AI regulation. It's not collusion. It's convergence. So what does that actually mean? It means power has stopped changing hands. It's merging. Footnote. The rhetoric of multipolarity conceals structural convergence among major powers on economic and technological governance. 10. The future is managed. The great irony is that the transnational technocracy doesn't care who wins elections. It doesn't need to. It wins by default, through inertia, complexity, and control. Its motto might as well be, let the people vote. We already wrote the code. But there's a choice buried in there somewhere. Resisting technocracy doesn't mean rejecting technology. It means demanding transparency, consent, and limits. Because once governance becomes a software update, the only freedom left is to click accept. Footnote. The entrenchment of global technocratic governance challenges democratic agency by embedding authority into technical systems rather than institutions.